team news, squad news to start, please?
Yeah, Zimbo's the only one. Zimmerman, he's the only one who's out at the moment. Kieran Dell started training again yesterday, so he's available for selection. Other than that, everybody's fully fit. Obviously, Sam Byram is coming back from a long-term injury, and he'll play some minutes on Monday for the 23s.
And just tell us how you felt morning after, woke up. I mean, you've been pretty much put to the ringer, hadn't you? 3 minutes in, you just probably thought, I wish I was still on holiday in New York. And then by the end of it, you thought, I know that's why I love football so much.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough start for us. Obviously, we conceded after 4 minutes, and the first half was a tough half. Southampton played to a really high level, but we managed to stay in the game. We got a good equaliser and stayed in the game. Tim made a really good save to keep it 1-1. Other than that, he was tested from distance, so I felt we defended our penalty box really well. But we stepped up second half. We stepped up to the standards that, are required and what we want. And I thought our second half performance got our rewards in the end.
Yeah, I think one of your players was asked what on earth you said at halftime, and they said no comment. Give us a sense. I mean, you're obviously trying to impart an awful lot of information. You've not had long to work with this team, but what we did in the second half should give you a real platform and a real belief, shouldn't it, going forwards? Yeah,
it should. I mean, we changed, personnel. We made one change at halftime. We tweaked a little bit of the tactics, but just asked more of the players in the second half to get up to the ball. And we got a reaction from them, which is what we want. And, they've set themselves them standards now. I just felt that we felt that there was safety by numbers, and we dropped into a low block too early. In this league, I feel that you have to go and engage teams, and we did that well.
Yeah, and it's now 2 wins. Obviously, you just had the 1 win, but as you're around the place this week, are you noticing a difference? Because sometimes that's all it takes, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. There's a growing belief within the group. But we know that it's certainly under myself. It's only one game, one result. But it's back-to-back wins in the Premier League, which is very hard to come by. And we're playing against a very good team now in Wolves, who are in good form. I think they've won 5 of the last 7 games. Bruno's gone in there and adapted their style, and it'll be a tough game for us. But we're at home again, and if the second half atmosphere is anything to go by, then if we can get the supporters behind us, it'll be a tough place to come. Psychologically
as well, you look at the table now, and it just, if you're a player sitting there, and I know players don't say they focus on it, whatever, but you can catch those guys above you now. It's doable, isn't it? Off the bottom, and suddenly 1 win, and you're right at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a funny start to the season. 12 games in, there's a lot of teams who have beaten teams that they should or wouldn't be fancied to beat. So there's a lot of points to play for still, and there's a lot of teams within reach. So we have to continue that belief in the positivity.
And just finally for me, I think it was really interesting hearing what John Terry said this week, and I'm sure you've probably picked up on it. He was talking about what a lot of people said about you in terms of man management, and how you sort of explained to him how you can get more out of players by just taking a little bit of time and investing that time. And bearing in mind, you're pretty much going to have the same squad for the next few weeks until January, and who knows beyond. How much of the next few weeks is about sort of tapping into that belief and that self-confidence and that ability just to squeeze a little bit more out of all of these players?
Yeah, my role is to learn as much as I can about the players and find them little nuances that can get the best out of them. I spoke to JT in the week, and he told me that he'd done a little piece, and JT had just gone from playing into a coaching career, so he was finding out little tricks of the trade or the experiences rather of what I'd had and how to get the best out of people. And there are times when you can beat them with the brush, but there's more often than not it's finding out about that player and how to get the best out of them.
And I think we forget that they're human, don't we? You look at them and go, they're really talented footballers. But I guess you look at someone like Billy Gilmore, for example, who hasn't played very much. Yes, clearly he's talented and he's from a big club, but sometimes he just needs kind of nurturing in a different way.
Yeah, it certainly does. The human element's a big one that sometimes can get overlooked, by supporters mainly rather than coaches, because we're with them every day. All players have different sensitivities, different emotions. And as I say, it's about us as coaches getting to learn about our players and getting the best out of them.
Just finally then, anyone surprised you? When coaches, just sort of sit down, have time, and there's always one or two things that take you by surprise. Any of those players surprised you in the first week?
No, I mean, what I've said to them is what I've been really pleased with is the attitude, how they approach training, the work ethic. That's been really, really good. And that's one of the biggest things that you need if you're going to be successful. We know we've got a tough task ahead of us with the start that we've had, but if the attitude's anything to go by, then we've got a really good chance.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Gail.
Thank you, Gail. Okay, Lynn from PLP, please.
Hi, Dean. Morning.
Morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Lovely. Norwich is a club with a very strong community feeling. I was wondering how have the fans welcomed you?
Yeah, they have welcomed me very well. I mean, it's a very welcoming place, to be honest. From board level all the way down throughout the club, I've been really embraced. Myself and Craig have been embraced by all, and it's been a really nice start to I hope it's going to be a long career here.
In what are the main areas you're still hoping to see improvement at Norwich?
I think we still need to improve on defending our box, not conceding big chances, but also improving our creativity as well. I was disappointed with the first half last week. I thought Southampton played at a really high level, but we just didn't engage high enough at all, and sat back a little bit and soaked up a lot of pressure. And I think at this level, if you do that, then the opposition are going to find ways with the quality available in this league of scoring goals.
And final one for me, please. Wolves have started the season really well. What do you think is behind their positive start for the season?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. After their first three games, I think they'd lost all three, but they'd actually played well in them. They'd created big chances. They hadn't been conceding many chances, but they'd lost games. And what was important, that Bruno didn't lose his belief and the players didn't lose that confidence, and they've got the results that they deserve now. They're a very good team. Been together for a long time. A lot of the players have been together, and obviously everybody's pleased to see Jimenez come back from what was a horrible injury, a horrible head injury, and he's proving again to be the player that we all knew he was.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Niv. Okay, Jim from the Press Association, please. Jim.
Hi, Dean. Morning.
Morning, Jim.
Hiya. You mentioned there about the reaction from the fans and everything and the support you've got. Have you and Craig had a chance to go out into the city or around the county as yet?
No, we've not been certainly in the city just yet. I mean, obviously passed through to get to the stadium, but we're both house hunting at the moment, so we'll get to see small parts of Norfolk, I suppose, at the moment. But as I say, I've been really happy with the reception we've got so far.
Do you think you can channel that positivity, because Norwich is almost unique and it's a one club county in effect, and obviously you come from the Midlands and you've got lots of different clubs, but that could work in Norwich's favour, I guess. Use the whole positivity from everybody. Yeah,
I think we have to try and channel all that support that we get from our fans. But the only way the supporters will get behind you if they see a team that's trying, a team that's willing to work hard and be proud to play for the club. And as I said, the biggest thing for me so far has been unbelievable attitude from the players every day in training. And if we take that onto a match day, then it can be a real strong connection with the supporters that gets us over the line of Premier League survival, which is our aim this season.
With the AGM, there's some news coming out last night with Stuart Webber, reaffirming his commitment to the club. How important is backroom stability at board level for a new manager when you're coming in?
Yeah, it's really important, and obviously was one of the questions I asked during the interview process. I wanted to know that there was some stability at the football club before, making that decision. And Stuart, told me there was stability there, which was really good to hear. And I'm looking forward to enhancing the relationship we've got already.
And just finally, one player at Aston Villa you know very well, Kieran Davis. Any chance he might be coming in January? We see him in a yellow and green shirt.
I've got 23 outfield players who I'm working with at Norwich at the moment, and getting to know them. So I'm not looking any further ahead of that.
Do you feel there's any particular area of the squad that you've been able to assess that maybe you could do with a little bit of extra cover? All 11, I guess.
No, I mean, at the moment, as I say, I'm learning about the players. I've got 9 outfield defenders. I've got 6 outfield midfielders. Plenty of options in the forward areas. So at the moment, I'm really pleased with what we've got and just getting to know them at the moment.
That's great. Thanks very much. Best of luck on Saturday. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, if we can go to Andy Ward from ITV, please.
Hi, Dean. Nice to meet you. Hope you're okay.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Yeah, Dean, I don't know if you're aware, but I think it was 2016 the last time Norwich came from behind to get some points from a Premier League game when they were losing. So obviously to do that last week in your first game, that must be massive for the mentality of the players.
Yeah, I think it showed the character of the players that they can turn around, a scoreline, and it was one of the messages I was giving them. Football can be quite a simple game at times. You're trying to score, they're trying to score. So one of you's inevitably going to get that goal, and it's the reaction to the goal. You don't want to go under straight away if you've conceded. And also you don't want to go gung-ho and make sure you concede another one, because then the game is tougher. So it's just finding the right mentality at the right time and, being consistent in your performance. Yeah,
definitely. We mentioned with Wolves that they had a bit of a slow start, didn't they? And now they're starting to flourish. Does that show that it does take a bit of time to kind of implement your ideas and get the players playing how you want them to play?
Yeah, I think Bruno's a really good coach, and I think he's proven that where he's been before. They lost their first 3 games, but I'd looked at the statistics. I'm a bit of a geek in terms of using data, and their data was really good. So, it was only a matter of time before they turned their results around if they continue playing the same way. And they've certainly done that by winning 5 out of the last 7. And they're sitting healthily in 6th position in the league. So it's going to be a really tough game for us. But we can take a lot of belief from certainly the second half performance against Southampton.
Yeah. You mentioned the fans earlier and the role they played against Southampton. How much are you going to need them tomorrow, especially if Wolves do have a bit of possession?
Yeah, we'll need them all season. We also know that we have to get them behind us with our performance. We have to almost show how much we're willing to work for the shirt to get them behind us as well. I think everybody saw the reaction into the second half performance last week, and that's really important part for our role in staying up is keeping everybody together.
Yeah, definitely. And finally, before you came in, Stuart Webb was talking about the need to be patient with some of the new signings, like Rashica and Williams, for example. They've both been really good in recent weeks. So how pleased have you been with how the new players are starting to adapt to English football?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new signings brought in during the summer to strengthen the squad. And, it always takes a little bit of time for people to settle in, and some quicker than others, especially those that haven't actually tasted English football before. But yeah, they're all integrating really well. And hopefully, we can see the best of them in the next few weeks.
Brilliant. Good luck for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, Paddy Davitt, please.
Morning, Dean.
Morning, Paddy.
You well?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yeah, thanks for your time. Just picking up 1 or 2 of the points you've already been asked about. You said you've got to know, or you've got to learn about the players you've already got on your books. I'm interested what your thoughts are at centre-back, because obviously you couldn't quite get Ozan back into your match day plans last Saturday. Zimbo, we know, is coming back. very highly rated young Irish player you had on the bench, Andrew Obama-Dalian, and obviously the two experienced lads you went with. Are you happy with what you've got there? Because ultimately, I guess as a head coach, all you need is competition all the way across the squad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, Ozan was unfortunate to not be in the squad last week. He'd had glandular fever, so he was ill the week before. And only done a couple of training sessions before that. Andrew had obviously been in the team against Brentford and, had played really well. I just felt that, the understanding between Grant and Ben and the experience that they had and the balance being a right footer and left footer would help us against Southampton. I thought, they defended the penalty box really well. Yes, there was some mistakes in there and, that's what we have to iron out. But I want competition and I'm sure that we'll get that with Andrew pushing and Ozan pushing. So for me, it's great the competition is there and Ben and Grant now know that they have to be at the top of their games.
Yeah, I mean, you said Sam Barham, with all things going to plan, we'll play a bit more Monday night. Are you just mindful how long he's been out? You don't really want to push him along too quickly? Or are you now maybe at the other end of the scale and you just need to see if his body will hold up to the increase in intensity? Is that a very difficult balancing act with a player out so long?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be led by the medical staff on Sam, on his recovery. He's had a nasty hamstring injury. We all agreed that, he'd get 45 minutes last week against Charlton in the 23s. We'll probably step that up to 60, 70 minutes on Monday and look to build into, to the 90-minute situation. And I think he's just got himself over a huge barrier just going and starting the game mentally rather than physically. And he's trained really well and we want to see him progressing because we all know what a good player Sam can be for us.
Yeah, throwing it forward to Wolves, you said, I thought it was quite interesting early on, that you feel they've adapted their style a little bit from Nuno. Just sort of elaborate what you've seen slightly different from how he had so much success with that team.
They were very, very comfortable not having an awful lot of the ball previously and being a very good counter-attacking team and, qualified for Europe and done really well in Europe under Nuno. They're a lot more comfortable in possession now and probably have a lot more possession than they did have. And they've got some really good players. They're a squad that's been together for a long time. You look at the two midfielders, Moutinho and Neves, have played together a long time, and Jimenez coming back, and the three centre-backs as well. So it's a structure they know very well, and they know each other very well as well. So, it's going to be a really tough game for us. But again, we've set our standards in the second half last week.
And a little bit like the situation you faced with Southampton, having played them so closely after being in charge at Villa, just from afar, that looks like some game you had at Villa Park with them in October. Obviously, they got the right end of it in stoppage time, but I'm sure you'll be taking a lot from what you saw at first hand that day. Yeah,
it certainly will. I mean, there was certainly nothing between the two teams on the day, and we were probably at that time fortunate to be 2 goals up. And they scored 3 goals in a random 10-minute spell, 3 from 3 set pieces. So it was a bit of a crazy game and a tough one to take at the time. But obviously things have moved on now, and the we now is me with Norwich.
Yeah, and just final one from me. I'm just really interested how you're looking at a young player, Josh Sargent. You clearly had seen enough in those 2 training sessions. You came through him on there at half time, and we all saw the impact that he had in terms of giving you that bit more aggressiveness and legs, I think you described it as. But obviously he's been brought in, if you're a Norwich fan, you see him as a striker, and we all know strikers immediately, first thing you judge him on his goals. And he is a young man still learning his trade, not had a huge amount of experience at senior level, but I guess you've seen enough there that he can clearly be of value to you moving forward in the short term and mid to longer term.
Yeah, he can be. I mean, I saw him play for Werder Bremen as well, as well as America as well. So I've seen Josh a few times. His work ethic is up there. It's right up there, and it's something that you come to expect from American players anyway. They have a huge work ethic. I think tactically he's obviously learning the game still. Still a young player, as you say. But I thought he made an impact coming off the bench last week as a wide forward for us. And that's what we want, them players that come off the bench. We want them to make an impact and change games. And he certainly helped to do that.
Cheers, Dane. Thanks for your time. Good luck tomorrow. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paddy. Okay, Michael Bailey from The Athletic, please.
Good morning to you, Dean.
Morning, Michael.
What's it been like with a full week? Has it been like a welcome return to sort of doing the job normally compared to the previous week?
Yeah, it has. I mean, to drop into a training session on 2 days prior to the game, there's a lot of information that you want to give, but you can't because you need to simplify the game a little bit for them. I've always been of the mindset that you drip feed the information that you want to get to them. Again, I said last week, you can sometimes give them information overload, and you want to make the game as simple as possible. I believe it is a simple game at times, and it's been nice to come in and have that full week. Have a really good extensive day on Tuesday, opening up the legs, giving them a couple of pointers on transitions, both for and against, and and then working a little bit more tactically Thursday and Friday.
You dropped a little nugget in earlier about you being a data geek. Has there been much of a transition to get the data you want at Norwich, or is that because I guess that's part of the learning process for you and the staff working with you?
Yeah, no, I've been really happy with the staff that I've come into at Norwich. The analysis department, headed up by Matt Lewis, has been really, really good and thorough. The same in the sports science with Glyn. So I've been really, really happy with the information that I'm getting. Obviously, I've changed a few things that I like and the way I want things to run a little bit. But no, generally, all the information I've been getting has been really good.
I did want to ask you about Todd. He was kind of, I suppose, slightly the fall guy on Saturday, but hasn't trained a lot. So has there been a chance this week for him to get a bit closer to those levels? I mean, also, I suppose it's about his reaction to that, because although collectively it was a great experience, for Todd that was probably quite difficult.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly wasn't the full guy to me or the coaching staff or the players. I believe the risk was worth it. I know the type of player Todd is and can be. I just felt he was a little bit off it last week, and that's obviously coincided with his lack of training minutes. So, he's had a full week's training this week, and he's getting back to them levels that we all know he can be. So there's a talented footballer there, and someone that certainly us as coaches want to work with and will continue to work with.
Brilliant. And just finally, in this situation, I get the impression when new managers come into a team, into a club, they don't necessarily want to change loads initially. They want to sort of go gently with it. At this point, with a win, is it much easier to sort of extend that period of leaving it be for a bit? Or because, I mean, we kind of found in the Premier League, you have to sort of deal with what you're up against each week pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is with the Premier League, you get a 4 weeks training, a 4 weeks coaching, so you can get a good look at, the players that hadn't actually played the week before. As I said last week, very rare you come into a job, when they've won the last game. So I've been quite fortunate to be able to do that. And, we tweaked a few things, but nothing too much. And, again, we're just drip feeding some of our ideas, and hopefully we can take that into the game.
That's brilliant. Loads of luck tomorrow, Dean. Cheers.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. John.
Hi, Dean.
Hi, John.
I just wanted to ask you about Todd Cantwell as well, because obviously you gave him the big boost of bringing him straight in after a long time away, and then he's the first to be taken off. How do you get the best out of a player like Todd Cantwell, who's very, very talented but also inconsistent? What's the best way to deal with him?
Well, working and talking to him daily. We've had a chat about last week and where I felt he fell a little bit short and the reasons why he came off. But sometimes you don't need to speak to them, because Todd knows he's a clever lad. He understands the game, and he knew he was probably a little bit off it last week. But it won't take an awful lot to get him back on it and back closer to the levels that we need in the Premier League. I think I don't need to tell Norwich fans what Todd Cantwell can do. They've all seen it over the last 2 or 3 years, and he's just, fell a little bit short of that at the moment. And our job now is to work with him on a daily basis to get him back to them levels.
Did he need a bit of picking up after being substituted, or did he understand that it was?
No, he fully understood. He was disappointed, but You know, he was in the dressing room afterwards, congratulating everybody on the win, and you know, he was also one who played a part in that.
How good can he be, do you think? When you've seen him as an opposition manager, what did you make of him?
Yeah, he can be a really good player. You know, he can cause problems, he can create, he can score goals. He's a hard worker. You know, and he covers the ground really quickly. So he's got all the attributes to certainly be a top Premier League player.
Norwich, the fixtures computer gave Norwich a bad start with Liverpool and Manchester City, but you've got 2 home games. I suppose a new manager couldn't ask for anything more than that, a better chance to really cement a relationship. You've done half the job. Yeah,
no, you want to win your home games. You want to put in good performances in your home games, because I do feel in this league that togetherness that you can create with the supporters, you know, at your own stadium can be an advantage, and we have to, you know, make every advantage count.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. And then finally, Phil Daly, please. Phil.
Hi, Dean. Can you hear and see me all right?
Hi, Phil. Yes, thank you.
Good to meet you. We often, and we've heard lots about your sort of man management techniques. I'm interested in you. I mean, what's it like for a manager who's now not sleeping in his own bed, hasn't got his dog to go and walk in the morning, and everything like that? Now the kind of instant adrenaline has worn off from the first few days in the first game.
Yeah, it has, but going into a new club, there's an awful lot of things to do. So certainly I've been occupied. You know, the wife's having to do the dog walking duties at the moment, but hopefully, you know, we can relocate and have them all here with me. But the job, you know, entails an awful lot of work at the moment. And as I say, getting to know the staff, getting to know the players, you know, getting to know the area and the supporters as well. So there's an awful lot of things that myself and Shaky are doing straight away. So, you know, it's certainly kept me busy, that's for sure.
I mean, I know it's not the first time you've been in this position, but you were at Villa for a long time, and you know it must be a very different feeling being a settled manager in the same place to suddenly coming into a new place, with not very much time in between either.
Yeah, I don't think any manager becomes settled. I think you have to become consistent in what you do daily, because you know people talk an awful lot about creating a culture. But that culture is normally driven by yourself. People look up to the head coach or the manager, and your daily behaviours are what they set it up or what they see as the standard. So it's important that I'm consistent on a daily basis, and you know, enjoying the challenge here. And it's a big challenge, but it's a great challenge.
Is it easier or harder if you had to come in and almost reinvent the wheel? You know, if you weren't coming into a sort of a similar way of working of maybe you've done previous, or would it be much easier if it was completely different?
I'm not so sure. I mean, you know, I've moved jobs 2 or 3 times now, and each time the first thing is to get to know the players, because they're the ones who are going to perform. So, you know, as soon as you go into any new job, that's the first thing that the coaching staff have to do. Learn about the players, find out what makes them tick, how we can get the best out of them. You know, I said earlier, the little nuances that they all have. You know, that's my job, and that's what I'm still doing at the moment, finding out about all these different players that I've got.
I guess that sort of merged into the question of how long will it take you to put your stamp on things? Because I would imagine, although you're not going to come out and tell us exactly what you've learned about the players, your maybe initial opinions and what you thought you knew about players, and maybe even the first couple of days might be a bit different a week on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, football, as you all know, is about opinions, and there's no right or wrong way to win a football game. You know, I think there's a philosophy that has stood the test of time here at the football club, so we won't stray too far away from that. I don't think the players have probably been used to hunting the ball as high as I would probably have my teams hunt it before. You know, so I've got to judge whether we have the intensity levels to do that first. And so there's got to be some adaptability on my part as well as the players.
Yeah, and with what you said earlier, and I know Michael touched on it, that sort of data geek side of you, which I think several of us are as well. What have you learned purely from a data side of things? We often hear new coaches come in and say, "Oh, the players aren't fit or they're not trying hard enough." I'm sure you're not going to say any of that, but from the data, what have you learned in a very short period of time?
Well, I mean, just looking at the numbers after the Southampton game, I think we ran 5K more than them as a team. You know, I think half a K of that was high speed distance as well. So, you know, we're certainly fit enough. We know we can cover the ground. We know we can cover the distance. We've got athletic players. Now it's the football side. You know, I felt we surrendered the ball a little bit too easy, and you know, we need to be a little bit better on the ball at the moment.
Yeah, because, well, lots of people will be very pleased to see they're running plenty. You don't want to be running, do you? You want to have the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and we have to be mindful sometimes that, you know, we ran 5K more simply because we didn't have the ball an awful lot in the first half. But if you have a good organisation and a good structure about you, you end up not running as much as you need to.
Just finally, Stuart Webb was at the AGM last night. I know you were asked a question about him staying. Just how important was that to your decision to come? Because, you know, we all know stability is key. And when you work so closely with a sporting director, I mean, I guess that might be the most important decision for you.
Yeah, no, it was really important. You know, Stuart came to interview me. So, you know, if Stuart's interviewing me, then I want to certainly make sure that Stuart's staying at the football club. You know, I mean, I've met Delia and Michael, and, you know, fantastic owners of this football club. But equally as important was, you know, working with the sporting director. And Stuart and Neil are two people who I feel that we can, myself and Craig, can work with really well.
I think your second question might have been, how much money have I got to spend in January? Sadly, he said at the AGM last night, there isn't very much. How do you feel about that?
Well, as I said, I'm working with a squad of 23 outfield players at the moment. So we've certainly got a lot of bodies in the building, and a lot of them have been new signings as well. We probably haven't seen the best of just yet, but we'll work with them and make sure we do see the best of them.
I've got to ask you just finally, Jacob Greaves was mentioned by a colleague of ours up north. I don't know whether he's a player that's been on your radar at all.
No, he's not somebody that we've spoken about.
No, top man. All right, thanks so much. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, everyone.